56, experiment or study.
We started?
We did.
Oh, okay. Hello. Mr. Lewis and Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller needs the guy doing the go, like, on air thing.
All right. This one really is a quick one. So it's a question of whether a study was an experiment or an observational study. There's a big difference. So you have to be able to tell the difference.
Yes.
Okay. So here are the definitions. Mr. Lewis, what do we have?
All right. An experiment manipulates factor levels to create treatments, randomly assigns subjects to these treatment levels, and then compares the responses for the subject groups across the treatment levels.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
That is well said, though. So it's to establish cause and effect. And the thing is, the experimenters are doing the manipulating, right? So
Yes.
they're controlling the environment,
Right.
and controlling the treatments.
Correct.
All right. So that's the best situation to establish cause and effect.
Yes.
All right. Now, not as good, but sometimes the best you can do.
Is an observational study,
Correct.
which is a study based on data which no manipulation of factors has been employed. You just go and observe what's going on.
Correct. It's something that's already naturally occurring. So you're not
Yes.
assigning treatments to groups.
No.
The reason why is sometimes that's impossible to do an experiment. You know. So okay. So a retrospective study looks backwards, right? So it's an observational study where it's based on data that's already occurred. It says it's based on their previous conditions. Behaviors are determined. It looks back at events that have already occurred. All right. So they might collect a group of people and ask them things about their past. All right, and try to draw a conclusion from that. But no treatments were done. They're things that happen naturally.
Right. Whereas a prospective study
Right.
looks at the future. It's an observational study in which subjects are followed to observe future outcomes. No treatments are deliberately applied, and a prospective study is not an experiment.
So we could, for instance, follow AP Stats students in their college career.
Yes.
Okay, and did those videos help them, or something like that? So we could do a study. But again, we're following something that's naturally happening. We're not randomly assigning people to treatment groups. That's why this is not as good as an experiment.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, let's do a few examples. Try and kind of iron this out. Okay, so here we have an educational researcher used school records to determine that in one school district, 84% of children living in two-parent homes graduated high school, while 75% of children living in single-parent homes graduated high school.
So, Mr. Lewis, did they randomly assign people to single-parent families and to
No.
two-parent homes?
No.
No, that'd be a little.
They did not.
No. So this is not an experiment. This
No.
is an observational study.
It is. So then the choice is this a prospective one or a retrospective one? We're looking future or past.
Okay, which is it?
I'm looking.
I want to go for A because that A is so big.
It does, but I think it's B.
All right, I think you're
Because
right.
it's graduated. You know.
Okay, so they look back.
Right here, this is a past tense thing. These people have already graduated, so they're looking back in time to see what's going on.
Okay,
So B.
very good.
All right. 400 patients suffering from chronic back pain were randomly assigned to one of two groups.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Over
what this is.
a 4-month period, the first group received acupuncture treatments and the second group received a placebo, or nothing. Patients who received acupuncture improved more than those who received the placebo. So, Mr. Miller, since you knew the answer, what is it?
Experiment.
It is an
I feel
experiment.
like Arnold Horshack. They probably don't know who Arnold Horshack is.
Nobody-
Oh, I got this one. Now wait, before you go forward, it is an experiment. Why? Because people are randomly assigned to treatment groups.
Yes.
All right, now, so it's an experiment. But could you underline the word placebo? We haven't talked about that in our class at all. Mr. Lewis, what is a placebo?
Placebo is something that, it's a drug that has no effect, or a treatment that has no effect on that. So it's a controlled thing. You give someone a placebo when you're trying to get them to think they're taking the medicine, but they're not.
Right, like a sugar pill or something like that.
Yeah.
So that the people taking it, they don't know whether they have the real medicine or not. And there's something called the placebo effect.
Yes. Some people, because the placebo effect is when it's a psychological thing. You think you're taking medicine, so like you just you psychologically improve and you have a more upbeat feeling, so then you kind of recover faster than you would normally have.
Right.
Whereas the opposite case, if you know you have the placebo, it reverses it. You could actually think, oh God, like I'm gonna die now because I don't have this new drug,
Right.
and it makes you feel worse.
So it's like kind of the power of believing. So sometimes if you believe you're getting medicine, you actually get better.
Right. It's usually why doctor and treatment things are double-blind tests, so that there's no way the patient can know.
Yeah, and that's a basic reason why placebo is used here, don't you think? So that people don't know whether they're getting the real treatment or not.
Right.
And,
Even though I'm assuming, I don't know how you can do acupuncture as a placebo.
Ooh. Let's read that part again.
Something tells me that
We
I
see
would know if giant pins were being shoved in my
usually,
body.
yeah, we're talking about a sugar pill or something. But maybe they're putting it, I don't know. They're just faking you needles, putting it in the wrong place.
Yeah, maybe they're just like poking you.
All right,
not
so
really sure
usually
what's
it's
going
like a
on.
medication, don't you think, or a
Yeah.
pill or something like that. All right, anyway.
Moving on.
In a group of 500 men and women, Mr. Lewis, those who smoked did worse on test of reaction time than those who did not smoke.
They did worse on tests and reaction time. Well, if they didn't say they put them into groups.
Yeah, so did they randomly assign some people to be smokers and not smokers?
It doesn't say.
Well,
But I'm going to assume because it's a group of 500 men and women, they did.
that's a good question.
I would almost say because it's a sample, I'm almost going to think it's an experiment. And they picked smokers and non-smokers. Either that or it's either going to be B or C.
Okay, cross out A there. That makes me
Yeah.
feel better.
It's definitely not A. Yeah, this is a very oddly worded question. Because they didn't... Yeah, what do you think? I'm thinking C.
I think they didn't randomly assign them to groups.
Okay.
And they're comparing smokers versus non-smokers.
Again,
So maybe this was a poorly designed experiment?
yes. This
How
would
about
be
that?
or a poorly worded question of a design of experiment.
Yeah,
This is why in stats you need to be super specific when you're talking about stuff.
All right, so sorry.
Otherwise, it can lead to debate.
Yeah, but I don't know. It didn't say it was. They compared records of people, so they actually made them do something. But if it's an experiment, it's a very poorly designed experiment.
Yes.
Maybe we can leave it at that.
Right.
Because you didn't randomly assign people to it, and you didn't have a control group. I mean, I don't know. So, like I said, if it's an experiment, a bad one.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay, you guys now. Journal assignment. Among a group of men that were tracked for 10 years, those who scored over 130 on intelligence tests were more likely to suffer severe depression than those who had scored below 130 on intelligence tests. Interesting. We want you to state whether this is a retrospective, perspective, observation, or an experiment.
Okay.
Sounds pretty simple.
And explain your choice.
Yes,
So just a brief explanation.
we should. Here, we'll write that.
Make it official. It's official if it's written. You got it.
Yes.
But if it's written, there's no way out of this.
So it shall be written.
Okay.
So it shall be done.
All right. Good luck on that.
All right.